Man, oh man, I don't even know where to begin. Um, those games, there was a pairing of really entertaining epic finishes with sloppy play this past weekend. I think we'd all agree on.
Mhm.
But then top that off with the news we wake up to this morning that Sean McDermott just got fired from
Fired.
the Buffalo Bills as well. So kind of a whirlwind of a 24 hours, I'm sure for you as well as a Bears fan. Lot to dive into, but yeah, I guess we can react to the news right off the bat before we get into the actual matchups from the week, Mark. I mean, that
Yeah,
seems to make the
well,
most sense.
and the news leads us into that, that first
It
big
does.
big
Yeah.
matchup as well. Sean McDermott getting fired. Dan, my instant thought is like, if you're Kevin Stefanski, you're like, wait, did I sign yet?
Yeah.
Did I sign
Yeah.
with Michael Penix Jr. yet in Atlanta, or can
I
I
mean, hey,
can I
John
back out
Harbaugh
of this?
too, while we're at it, he's
Yeah,
gonna be in New York anyways.
yeah, it's true. You're already in the state. You already got your taxes figured out and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say you're already hearing the rumblings of like Brian Dable, and that's a name that's obviously going to make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I think
Joe Brady.
yes, I think the Bills, it sucks that they are going to miss out on interviewing Stefanski and Harbaugh. I think now the Bills job is the number one job. I hate to say it. I think it's the number one job over the Ravens job, over the Steelers job. And the Ravens and the Steelers are phenomenal jobs that never open. But I think we would agree that Buffalo, with Josh Allen in his MVP prime right now, is probably
The
the most
closest to winning a championship,
probably
you
the
know.
most coveted position I can think of since the Green Bay opening when they fired Mike McCarthy and you had MVP prime Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, I mean, that's the only thing that it's coming to my mind. I'm
Yeah.
like, God, this feels like that. And of course, it all stems from
I mean, head coaching jobs for elite MVP quality quarterbacks just don't
no,
typically
we have
open up,
two.
right? Because it usually equates to
Yeah,
success and, yeah,
we have
so
the two openings this year, and it just obviously it derives directly from the fact that Buffalo once again couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And when you look at the stats now, it's starting to add up to where it's, and Josh Allen, I think, has the most playoff victories now without a Super Bowl appearance. I mean, there's all of these things that we're starting to add up for McDermott. And a credit to McDermott, because he's a guy who arrived in Buffalo. Remember that first year with Tyrod Taylor when they made the playoffs and it was insane. And there was something with the Bengals,
yep.
like they were donating to the Bills players, or the Bills were donating to the Bengals charity or something. This was, 6-8 years ago now, because it was like, you helped us get into the playoffs. We hadn't been in the playoffs in however many years. It's an incredible
Yeah.
turnaround. But again, similar to what we've talked about with other long tenured coaches, we talked about all last week with Tomlin, eventually push comes to shove and you just say, we need to make a change. We are continuing to hit our head against the wall. This time the wall being the Denver Broncos and the referees. We'll talk about that here in a second. But I think
Yeah.
you're not getting rid of Josh Allen, just like the Ravens are like, we're not getting rid of Lamar. So this is the change.
Yeah, it's about trying to get over the hump finally. And that's today's NFL, but that's largely just, business in general. If the production's not there after a certain amount of time, you just got to move on. I mean, a lot of people are panning this decision because Sean McDermott has had so much success. They've won a playoff game in 6 straight years, I believe is what it is. And that was the stat I think you're referencing, is that no team in NFL history has won 6 straight playoff games, or a playoff game for 6 straight years, and never gone to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. The other three, it's only happened 4 times. The other three all went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. So, it is uncharted territory for Buffalo, and I can understand from a owner perspective, from a team standpoint perspective of, we recognize the window is so small in the NFL in general, a Hall of Fame caliber MVP quarterback, and we haven't been able to get there with him. Time's running out. We can't run this experiment for much longer, which makes the Bengals' decision to keep Zach Taylor interesting because you could argue with the Harbaugh and McDermott situations. They've been more productive. Now, granted, Zach Taylor has gotten to a Super Bowl, and then you pair that with the fact that Burrow has missed way more games overall than Lamar and Josh have. So it's not a one-to-one comparison, but it just shows you got to capitalize while you can, and you got to be willing to move off of it. The biggest issue with this decision to me, Mark, is the fact that they kept Brandon Beane. And so you would have thought that this was kind of tied together. If you're going to get rid of McDermott, you also should get rid of the guy who's, to steal the Bill Parcells quote, like shopped for the groceries and built this team. And so, I mean, some of the best players on the team, Matt Milano, Deion Dawkins, those were McDermott's draft picks the first year before they hired Brandon Beane. So it's a lot of the issues have stemmed from the team not being there around Josh Allen, but we'll get into the game and all of that coming up soon. But yeah, I just wanted to mention, I did think that was interesting, but I agree with you that it's the most tantalizing job now for sure. They are the closest to getting a championship. So we'll talk all divisional round matchups, and we'll look ahead to championship week as well coming up, but an exciting slate to get to here on the other side. So the Broncos advance. They will be hosting the AFC Championship game next week, taking on the New England Patriots. So it's the 1 and 2 seed in that respective conference going head-to-head for a trip to the Super Bowl. We envisioned a Broncos-Patriots matchup at the beginning of the year to go to the Super Bowl. I think we both would have been quite shocked, or at the very least a little surprised.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this game, Mark. The Bills losing a heartbreaker in overtime. For as much as I mentioned there at the end about building a team around Josh Allen and the shortcomings, I feel like you got to blame Josh for a lot of how this game went. Yes, they scored 30 points, but he made some crucial errors and turnovers in this game that I think ultimately led to this downfall, especially at the end of the half. That fumble, the end of the first half, was the difference. That led to another give me field goal, and it was a 10-point swing going into the half in just a matter of 30 seconds.
Yeah, totally. I mean, when we talk about Josh Allen, we've been doing this podcast for pretty much his whole career. I think, it was like his first year was like the start of our podcast. And with Josh, you look back, if you think about it, when Josh would do these crazy plays, we used to say it was like he was pressing all the buttons on the controller at one time, right? I think about that playoff game against Houston early in his career where you're like, what is this dude doing? But you could see, kind of like we'll talk about with Caleb as a young quarterback, like just insane ceiling and the ability to make these insane plays. And I think now we're farther enough into Josh's career. We're in the prime of his career, in the heart of his career, where you're allowed to now just say, you can't do that. Like I have to be critical of you for this. Bills fans have a right to protect their God. He is a life-changing human being in that building. Trust me, I feel that way this morning. I'm going to protect my guy with my life. But I also think objectively, if you're not going to sit there and go, Josh Allen wasn't good enough, then you didn't watch the game, or you're just never going to say it. He wasn't good enough in this game. Missing throws, the fumble. I think overall, when you're this late in your career and you've won an MVP, I'm giving you less of the whole, well, look at the team around him.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You're Josh Allen. You're Josh Allen. So I can't just play that card, right? I can play that card with CJ Stroud here a little bit. Year 3, all of his number one weapons were out for that game. And in weather conditions when you're a dome quarterback and not a freak athlete, right? Like we'll play that card coming up to defend CJ Stroud. He was obviously really
and not a good run game.
Yeah. So it's like, so for Josh, it's like you have Cook, right? You have a guy who led the league in rushing. you still had really nice tight ends. You have a wide receiver core that you've had all season. It's not like you're on 7 stringers and you lost all your prime guys a week ago and now it's all new guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm less willing to give him that. Now I will say the refs weren't great in this game. It's not all on Josh Allen, right? You're on the road. How much more can you do as a 12-win team? You have to go on the road as a 6 seed. That's how good the AFC this year. I still think Josh Allen is, if you don't have him as a number 1, number 2, number 3 quarterback in the NFL, I don't know what you're watching. I feel like we just will never connect. It's almost like a Republican and a Democrat. Like if you feel that way, I will just agree to disagree. We move on. Let's keep it civil, right? And I think it's an 80-20 issue. I would imagine most people have Josh Allen in their 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
But in this game, he was not good enough. And I'm not going to write the check of bad receiver core, you're an MVP. You're in year 7 or 8, whatever it is. This is you when you play that badly in these big moments with the fumbles,
he had 4
the
turnovers.
Yeah, it's just not good enough.
2 picks and 2 fumbles lost, and then he fumbled another time that got recovered. But you got to put this on his shoulders because we have given him the benefit of the doubt a lot in the past and saying, oh, the defense didn't show up, or he hasn't had a receiving core. But we've seen him put on the Superman cape in the past and win crucial games that they needed to, either to get the division or to get to the championship game or whatever. And so when you know that that's in the range of outcomes for a player like that, sometimes it's, it may not be fair, but it's reasonable to expect that and to ask that of your quarterback who's making as much as he's making, who you've deemed as the leader of your franchise. And it wasn't just like a mistake here and there. It's 4 turnovers. Like you turned the ball over 4 times, one of which you can say, obviously, with that Brandon Cooks catch was your receiver just not being able to haul it in and kind of a fluky thing. So I'm not going to go crazy over that. It was also just basically equated to a punt at that point anyways. But still, that's 3 turnovers that are inexcusable, including in a moment where you just anything but a turnover at the end of the half. Okay, they just scored a touchdown on you guys. That hurts. That stings. Like you're down 7 now. But gosh, to turn it over in the area of the field you were in and gift them 3 points at the end of the half.
Yeah.
You've just made it a double-digit 2-possession game that completely changes the scope of how you have to enter the second half. And obviously, ultimately they came close and they were able to tie the game and send this thing into overtime and all of that. So, yeah, you could say that was a moot point, but just not enough. And obviously, we got to talk about Denver as well. The defense as dominant as they've been all year, and they forced 4 turnovers. They gave up 30 points in this game. They certainly looked beatable. I know their secondary was a little bit more shaken up in this game than they have been all season. And, it did feel, I still feel like I can't figure out how Denver has gotten to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this team is that good, and somehow they are here, and I don't know what to make of it. And obviously now Bo Nix is not going to be there, which is a huge blow for this team next week as they plan to start Jarrett Stidham.
Devastating for Broncos fans in the sense that this is their first playoff win, I believe. I heard this stat right, since the Super Bowl win with Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
and
okay, that makes sense.
You get this high, and then within an hour, Sean Payton's at the podium, and it's immediately stripped away. I'll talk really quickly about the game for Denver. I thought at times their defense definitely didn't look like the unit we've seen all year. That's obvious, right? Like there was miscommunication on the back end. There was not a consistent enough pass rush. There was some poor tackling at times as well. Now, Josh Allen will do that to you, right? Like, I don't want to be too hypercritical of a defense. It's like Josh had 4 turnovers and had a chance to win this game because that's how good he is. If he makes one less mistake, they probably win that game. And I'm not kidding. I wouldn't be sitting here poo-pooing the Broncos this morning if the Bills had found a way to win that game. I would say probably you ran into the best player in football and you made him work for it and he had to earn it. I will say I think they are a defense that is still capable of enough of winning a Super Bowl, right? Like I'm not unlike the Bears defense who might have had their best game last night. It still just didn't feel like a unit that you'd say that's a Super Bowl winning unit. The Broncos unit overall still feels like this is a Super Bowl caliber unit. Offensively, I didn't love the game plan from Peyton as far as not committing to running the ball. When they ran the ball as effective, but I think it was like less than 20 carries. I think it was like 10 carries. I mean, it was abysmal.
As a team, they had 22, but Bo Nix had 12 of those.
12 of those.
Bo Nix had more than
10,
half the team's
10 carries from your running backs.
Yeah.
Now, obviously,
for 41 yards.
Yeah, so you're averaging 4 yards a carry. So and Buffalo's defense, as far as stopping the run, all season long was something you could take advantage of. At least helping yourself and play action and doing other things. So I didn't love the game plan from the Broncos. It felt like they were ready for a shootout and then were willing to go into that shootout. And I just don't know. Again, it's that kind of Sean Payton cockiness. It's like he thinks he's just going to be smarter than you. And it's like when you have Bo Nix and they have Josh Allen, the shootout is not what I want to be in. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Now,
they ended up lucking out. Yeah, you would.
Yeah, and Cortland Sutton didn't even have a catch until I think like the fourth quarter or something like that. It was just one of those. I was like, I didn't understand the game plan. Now, again, it all worked out. And I do think the game plan for Denver now is going to have to be a huge part of their success because obviously that was the most shocking thing. My wife and I were out Saturday night for dinner. We left as soon as the game was over, went out to grab a bite to eat. And I'm looking at the screen as they're about to start Seahawks game and Niners game. We're going to watch that when we're out. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is he saying? And it's Bo Nix is out. And I just couldn't believe it. Even my wife, who's not a football watcher, but at this time of the year gets really into it and obviously has been supporting of the Bears and getting into it. She was just like, that is crazy. Like that's devastating. And for us as sports fans, we at least can go to, well, she's like, has this ever happened before? I'm like, I could list a couple examples, right? Like, you have Nick Foles recently. You've had moments where backups have a chance to come in there and
Frank Reich for the Bills had to win a playoff game.
Had to win a playoff game.
Kelly, and he had that epic, major comeback.
So there's been moments, but this obviously
very rare
is crazy. We'll talk about it in the preview here coming up, but I feel for the Broncos fans because they didn't even get a chance to celebrate this. Everyone is writing them off, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they're going to host an AFC championship game. A lot can happen, and it's not like they're going up against an absolute juggernaut.
No.
So we'll get to obviously this matchup in our preview of the championship round, but we'll continue with the Saturday games and go to the 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. I'm a text thread with Adam Rosso, who's in Dallas. He covers the Cowboys. We've had him on for the draft briefly, and and our pal Steven Rogers, who was on for the draft recap as well, or the draft watch. And they were asking, I think Adam said, like, what's the most confident matchup going into this weekend? And I said Seattle over San Fran. I thought the Kittle injury was major and changed a lot for the 49ers. I felt that they were going to have to put everything onto Christian McCaffrey. And for Seattle and Mike McDonald, I was just confident that they'd be able to key in on McCaffrey and say, okay, we'll make Brock Purdy have to make all of these plays to Juwan Jennings and, Jake Tonjes and try and make something happen from there. It did feel that that's what happened. I mean, they could never get the run game going despite trying. And they gave the ball to a lot of different guys to try and run the football in this game. But really just nothing through the air. It was a total just dominating effort by Seattle. Sam Darnold only had to throw 17 times. I mean, that is the dream. That this is
for the oblique injury, especially.
Yeah, exactly. Now he gets some time to rest and wasn't fully I don't want to say like fully engaged, but didn't have to
Well,
use
yeah,
his
he
entire
didn't.
arsenal
Yeah,
um,
it wasn't
in this
40
game.
40 pass attempts in an overtime thriller. Yeah,
Yeah. You got I mean, you could lean on your running game, 33 carries for the group,
no, they were
175
good.
yards,
It was good.
3 touchdowns. Your defense made the plays it needed to. It got the 2 fumble recoveries and an interception, so he won the turnover battle. This was an all-around great team effort for Seattle. And really, San Francisco, I think just all of those injuries, kind of like what we've talked about with the Lions in last year, the massive amount of injuries just finally came to fruition,
Yeah.
and we saw it play out.
Yeah, to me, this was the classic. Just the clock ran out on the
Yeah,
Niners. Like, I mean, the clock absolutely ran out on the Niners. I agreed with you that Kittle injury. Now, I bet the Niners middle of the week at I saw the line. It was like +7.5. I'm like, that's so disrespectful to Shanahan, to divisional opponent. I'm like, they'll probably win in convincing fashion, Seattle, but the Niners will score late to keep it close. 20, 24, 30, and I'll get my +7, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I'm like, that's just a disrespectful number. And I truly thought a lot of it just had to do with, it's a divisional matchup. These teams know each other well. After that opening kickoff, I was like, it's over. I literally was like, my bet's dead. Like, it's dead. You could
yeah. You
just
can't give
sense.
them a gimme
Yeah.
touchdown.
Well, and you could just sense it's like, oh no. There's one team here. What's the biggest concern when you have the bye? It's, will you come out flat, right? Will the time off have hurt you and your momentum? And when you get that, it's like, oh, even if
Yeah,
they were flat, it's like there's no chance. Like, all the momentum is back, all the energy was back. You forget how exciting it is to watch great playoff big games in Seattle. It's such a great atmosphere.
yeah, yep.
And so,
Yeah, that gets the crowd into it right off the
yeah,
bat too. I mean, you're not getting any plays off if
yeah,
you're San Fran now. That crowd is gonna be really loud for a while. You're gonna have to do quite a bit to shut them
yeah.
up at that point.
It was great to see Shaheed show up too. Like, Shaheed, they made that trade midseason. We thought, like, oh crap, like this is going to now Seattle's next level, and he's been fine. But now you start to see where a move like that really pays off, where you're like, they have that guy too, and it's like he can make those kind of plays in big moments. For the Niners, I'll just quickly say, I think this team is just, they're in trouble, in my opinion, as far as all these teams have played this weekend, of like, who do you feel the most confident won't be back in the final 8 teams next weekend? I would say probably San Francisco, and I'll give you 2 main reasons why. The division obviously is very tough, and now you're probably going to lose Salah again,
Mhm.
and you dealt with Trent Williams injuries all year. He's what, 42 now? I mean,
He
like,
said he's coming back
I
too, which
know,
is
and I know,
wild.
which is great,
Yeah,
but like,
yeah,
Kittle is not going to be there until the whole season probably.
yeah.
Tonjes looked like he got a soft tissue injury there at the end. I haven't seen the update on Tonjes. McCaffrey, another year older. This team needs 10 young draft
Young
picks, and they
people.
need to hit on 5 of them. You know what I mean? Like the Cleveland Browns and the Bears did this year. Like, they need to hit on some picks. So they're capable of doing it. Don't get me wrong, but it just feels like they're a team that needs a year to recover from the year they just had, where they have
Mhm.
more building back up and transitional pieces. It definitely feels like uh, you know a team that needs
It
the
needs a
most.
cleansing.
A
Yeah,
cleansing is a great word. They need to move their facility away from a power plant, probably.
yeah, right. Yeah, I've seen a lot about that too.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's a tough position for the 49ers. I felt confident in them coming into the playoffs and then after obviously the first round, but yeah, that Kittle injury really takes away a massive part. They didn't have Ayuk as well. So yeah, it's like they're trading health next year with Fred Warner and Nick Bosa coming back and Ayuk. Either trading that for a no Kittle, another year of McCaffrey. Is he going to have the complete
he was the
package
healthy
coming
guy
back?
this year. So that's concerning, right? Like, can he
Yeah,
string 2 in a row? Yeah,
yeah.
it's tough. And for Seattle, we'll talk about them coming up. They feel like the favorites right now, and
They're
they
really
should be.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they too get another home game, so it's big stuff. I will go to Sunday. The Texans at the New England Patriots, a very
Oh,
snowy game. Got off to a very, very sluggish start for both teams in this one. Really sloppy play, sloppy turnovers. Just really was a game where it seemed like we've talked about several times this year with just games where no team wanted to seemingly win this one. Ultimately, though, it was the New England Patriots coming out on top 28-16. The difference was Drake May in the end as well. He's the one, three touchdowns. He did have a bad pick in there. He certainly did not look good with the two fumbles either. But despite his rough play overall,
he was bailed out.
It was the better performance because
Yeah.
DJ Stroud threw 4 picks and just looked all out of sorts. No one to throw to. Really rough. Yeah, you felt that the team that pressured the quarterback more was the New England Patriots pressuring CJ Stroud than that great Texans front pressuring Drake May. What were your thoughts on how this whole thing played
Will
out?
Anderson has officially arrived as like you have to talk about him in the way you talk about Myles Garrett, Watt, Crosby. Yep. He's arrived, right? He's completely arrived.
Against Will Campbell, too. I mean, who's not a slouch.
No, and I'll say I'll talk more about the Texans now because we'll talk about the Patriots coming up. I do credit to the Patriots for finding a way to make sure they didn't blow that football game. Made enough plays when he had to make plays off of the copious amounts of turnovers, and against a defense that seemed at times during that game like they were just going to win it. They're just going to say, "We'll do it. We'll take this victory. We will go." And credit to this to the Patriots too, for handling the pressure as well as anyone I think could. Like, I know that they let Drake May get beat up and he had the fumbles, but like, my God, when you watch that talent go and they just pin their ears back on that sloppy field, it was like watching a nightmare for those poor offensive linemen for the Patriots, and they handled it pretty well. Now for the Texans, I'll say this. I was tweeting out problem, CJ Stroud, problem. In the moment, it's mind-numbing to watch. And I can't imagine being a Texans fan in that moment being like, oh, my God. And a lot of people might be critical of what I'm saying because they're like, well, Mark Caleb threw 3 interceptions. I think if you look at the interceptions, are completely different, right? And if you look at the type of the throws and the situations of the interceptions, not all interceptions are equal. What CJ Stroud was doing was reckless. It looked like Jameis Winston at time. It looked like a guy who just had no feel for situation.
It looked like the CJ Stroud of last week.
Yes, and what's crazy is for CJ Stroud. So here's why I'll be critical. What's crazy is he has experience. It's only been year 3, but he's been in the second round of the playoffs. He's won a playoff game every year. Like, I mean, this kid, his career, it's been overall phenomenal. I mean, it's a dream start when you draft a quarterback number 2 overall and you say, hey, listen, you just took this guy number 2 overall. The next 3 years, you're going to make the playoffs. 3 straight years, going to win a playoff game all 3 years. You'd be like, holy shit, we got our Mahomes. Like, let's go. The problem, though, for the last 2 years, he has 1 year where it was him. But the last 2 years, it's been about DeMeco Ryans and this Texans defense. And it's almost looked like at times like CJ Stroud is what is holding the team back. Now, I will give him the benefit of the doubt this year. This is my last year giving it to him. No Nico Collins. Schultz goes down early. There was
no Tank Dell.
No Tank Dell. Like, I mean, this is a team all season offensively that just didn't feel like they had enough. This was a team that we went into the year going, Joe Mixon is what top 5 maybe running back, and he didn't play. We don't really know what happened there. And they were then relying on Woody Marks and Chubb was never anything like. They traded offensive linemen. Offensively, his organization did him a disservice. And so I'm not going to panic. I know it sounds horrible when the coach says at the end of a game, like DeMeco Ryans, like, CJ Stroud is our guy. Like, you never want to hear that, like that, right? Like, you don't want that question.
That implies that
you have to ask the question, right?
Questions being,
But I do think this if I'm the Texans, I'm not extending him this year. You just win year 3. I'd pick up the 5th-year option, and I would reinvest in the offense. That defense doesn't need a thing, right? So you can spend draft capital, you can spend offseason free agency capital, building that offensive line, getting him some more depth at wide receiver, and then you say, hey, if we're in the same result a year from now, and it still looks this ugly in these big moments with C.J. Stroud, then you have real conversation. Also, we talk a lot of stadium talk. In the AFC right now, in the next 4 years, Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Denver are all outdoor stadiums. So if you are a Houston, you want to win in January and February, you're 90% chance, unless you're the 1 seed, you're going to be playing big football games, New England outside in elements. And it looked like he couldn't handle the elements at all. It was bad.
Yeah.
And
his first throw of the game was an easy out route.
Yeah.
And it looked like he just like fluttered it, and the wind completely took it 5 yards the other direction.
It's not great.
Yeah. You got to be able to plan for that. So yeah, it's the offense is going to need to take a big step forward because it's taken a pretty big step back over the last year and a half. We'll see if they can get their run game figured out. We'll see what Tank Dell's return and maybe the extra year of Higgins and Noel from Iowa State that they got this past year can take another step too. And maybe we're talking about a much more well-rounded Texans team in 2026, but they got to be able to do it. All right, let's get to the final game, the Rams at the Chicago Bears. If I had told you before the game that the Rams would score 17 points in 4 quarters, you're thinking the Bears have that game won handily, right? It's tough. Caleb turned the ball over 3 times, regardless of what the blame was on each individual one. Still resulted in that. He also came through with one of the most miraculous plays in back-to-back weeks, nonetheless, on a crucial 4th down. Where do you ultimately place the blame here? I mean, did Ben Johnson not put them in a good enough position in 3 of those 4th downs that they didn't convert inside the 30? I think of those moments, really, those 4th downs that couldn't be capitalized on. The sequence there late in the red zone with that pitch to Swift where he tried to hurdle a guy to get in. I was like, what kind of weird call was that in that moment? I did think that there were some questionable play calls, but what was your overall reaction to this obvious heartbreaker, but at the same time, you've got this hope as well and optimism moving forward?
Yeah, if you're telling me I have to make blame, it's a pie chart, and it's probably 33.333% on short yardage play calling. I think Ben was I like the idea. I like going for it. First off, let me get this out of the way. I like going for it. Yeah. A lot of people argue take the points, field goal. Those conditions, a field goal was not granted no matter where you were at. And you're at home against the MVP and these elite receivers. I like going for it. All right. If the situation's different, if next year the Bears have a top 3 defense and they get Max Crosby and do all this stuff, I'm like, fuck it. No, take the points. Let your defense go eat on that sloppy field at home, whatever it might be. In this situation, I'm not gonna second question the whole go for it, don't go for it. So I think 33.33% on some play calling stuff. I think Ben will mature. I think Ben will learn. I know you argue, well, Ben was there with Detroit in big playoff games and had to make calls. I think it's still a little different when you're the guy, there's no one else, and you have all these other things to manage. It felt a little bit like we're going to be the tough guys, and we're going to run it with Manungai straight at you. The other 33.33% of the blame, though, the next one would go to, in my opinion, health. Like it wore down. The Ozzie Trapillo injury, moving Joe Tooney out, they did not run to the left side consistently at all. And so it was like right side, right side, right side, Darnell Knight. We're going to lean on Wright and Jackson, which all season long has been the way to go. But it seemed so telegraphed at times, right? It seemed easy for the Rams to figure out. And it also, to me, felt like if you know you can really only run the ball to one side, then let's get uber creative. Where was the Ben Johnson uber creative plays? But I think it just, the health, the offensive line, that just wasn't, it felt to me like offensively they came in with a game plan that wasn't the one they wanted if they knew they had a healthy Ozzie Trapillo. And then I would say 33.333%. The last would go to overall sloppiness. I would just say sloppiness. You have Rome Odunze dropping a touchdown on the first drive. So we don't even talk about the short game plan, the goal line carries. We don't have to talk about kicking a field goal or not. You have also the other thing, health thing I wanted to add in is Colson Loveland gets the concussion and then was a non-factor in the fourth and overtime when he's been your 2-point conversion guy, your quick little 3-yard pickup guy. It felt a little like they just didn't know how to prepare and how to handle all of those things converging. And then, so back to the Rome Odunze miscatch. There was at least 2 other drops. Colson Loveland had a big drop early in the game as well. And then I would argue blame on Caleb and on DJ Moore for that final interception. Like, it's obvious from the video, DJ Moore kind of gave up on the play. He did not run a crisp route. It's also obvious on me if I'm Caleb. When I'm watching it, I'm going, he's not there. Like, he's not there. Well, like,
he had a Dunze if he just threw it straight to the back of the end zone.
So it's like he had said to himself, I'm going to DJ Moore. And it's like DJ Moore had said to himself, there's no way he's going to me. I'm a distraction route. I'm supposed to clear a guy out.
Yeah.
And it's like, that can't happen.
I also wonder on that play, because Luther Burden was just about to run his wheel.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if DJ was like, oh, this safety is too close to the boundary, so I need to slow my route up so that Caleb can hit the wheel down the sideline without that safety interfering. I'm like, that was kind of like partially what went in my head. But we've seen DJ give up on routes before, so that makes you kind of feel
and
like
even if that's the case, then if that's the case, again, that's sloppiness and mismanagement on the play design, play call, and the quarterback receiver connection. I'm not angry about anything this morning. I'm not sitting here pounding the table about anything. I have a little bit of depression because I just love this team. I fell in love with this team, this specific team. I think about all the times I tweeted about Cairo Santos and wanting to punt him into the moon, and then he ended up being so clutch down the end of the season. I think about the early weeks when it's like, where the hell is Colson Loveland? And then Colson Loveland sets a rookie record tight end receptions in a playoff game. I think about an 0-2 start and wondering why did this have to happen to me? And then them turning around the way they did, and Caleb Williams, the magic against Cincinnati, the beating Green Bay 2 of 3 times. Like, there's so much.
The secondary injuries, and then seeing the backup corners.
Nashawn Wright. And what's crazy is this was like the first time the secondary all played together, and they were great. Brisker, Gordon, Jalen Johnson, they held their own. I mean, Brisker and Gordon were all over the field, and you think that's what I was predicting at the start of the year. And then they both were injured. And even apparently, Jalen Johnson said at the end of the game, like, he's still at like 80%. He had core surgery. Like, he had a core injury. Like, he's like, I'm back, but I'm not in the shape I should be. And I'm not at the Pro Bowl level, the highest paid corner type, money. So there's a lot of things that go into it. It wasn't like one thing. It wasn't Caleb's picks. Now, the 4th down pick, ugly. And Caleb, as a guy who doesn't throw interceptions throughout the regular season, it is a little concerning that in the 2 playoff games, 5 interceptions. But I think if I really go back and look at the tape in all 5, I'm probably saying 3 of them at least were I'm not concerned about. And then 2 of them, it's like, okay, I need answers, but I'm not panicking. It's not like Caleb was turning into Justin Herbert throwing the 4 where it's like that cost you the game. I don't think they cost them the game. I think Caleb and DJ Moore, you can argue that last one obviously cost the game, but it wasn't like a CJ Stroud type of performance, right? It was just not the same. As far as the Rams go, we'll talk about them here coming up really quick, but I'll just say Sean McVay is different. Like Sean McVay is officially different. Like I feel like we felt that way for a while. 6 years ago, it was kind of Shanahan's better than McVay. McVay is good, but the boy genius. This dude now has the most wins by any coach in the playoffs under the age of 40, and it's like by double. I mean, what he's doing at his age, and he has set such a precedent. It still feels like LaFleur and Shanahan and all of his guys, Kevin O'Connell, he's still the alpha in that whole room. And for him to have his team prepared the way they were prepared, no penalties. The team never gets called for penalties. They had 1 penalty this game. They led the league again this year with least amount of penalties. That's Sean McVay. His game plans, his attention to details, and then his, like a lot of offensive coaches, his frustration, right? Like I felt like they should have ran the ball a lot more, but then when they needed to in the fourth quarter, they were like, fuck it, we're running the ball. Like let's just and Sean I think the Sean McVay and the Rams in the end, they were the better team throughout the 5 quarters of that game, start to finish. They were the more crisply coached team. You didn't see the errors in the route running and the stuff like that. And credit to them too. The Bears defense just didn't, the pass rush just didn't do enough to affect Stafford. The time they did hit him, Stafford recovered his own fumble. I thought that was a huge play. If that ball comes out and the Bears get it there, I think it's a different game. I think the Bears defense needed a big turnover, and they just never got it in this game. They never got it.
I mean,
credit to the Rams. Credit to the Rams.
We've talked about the Bears. That is their thing, and so you got to be able to produce in the biggest moments of the season some sort of big turnover. Yeah, they just never got it. And I will say for the Rams, on top of Sean McVay's influence, I thought their defense played extremely well against a Chicago offense that had shown that they could, kill you with big plays throughout the season, can gash you in the run.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks a lot to defensive coordinator Chris Shula as well, who's, a big time head coaching candidate this cycle. He almost certainly is going to get hired as a head coach.
Yeah.
I thought he showed that they could come through time and time again in huge moments. Those 4th down stops were significant, and several of them being stuffing the run and back-to-back plays or in goal line situations. They were able to out physical the Bears. And obviously the Bears had their injuries along the offensive line, but I thought that the Rams defense came through big, and that was a huge component that maybe isn't talked about enough in this game because of how the Bears came back and because of the overtime, dramatic finish. But yeah, I really thought LA's defense really needed to be given kudos, because even though the plays weren't all Caleb's fault, the turnovers, the Rams still made them.
They made them.
They still made plays.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I'm glad you mentioned that. I will say the throw that Caleb makes to Cole Kmet, we talked about it here before we started recording. It's the worst thing about not winning that game is that play will get lost a little bit, right? The 4th and 8 to beat Green Bay will probably have more staying power because it's in a win, right? And you get the celebratory nature of that. I don't know how to quantify Caleb Williams. I know a lot of people have said like he's like Steph Curry, and I think there's something there, right? There's there's something
creator.
There. He's a creator. Now, I think what's scary for the league and what Caleb, he already said it in his post-game press conference, I love. He knows he has to get better at the little things. Like he knows it. But I think him and Ben Johnson also knew that's an off-season fix, right? Like we're in the season now, so we have got to win games, right? Like we got to and get better, but we've got to find ways to just week to week win football games. I also don't know what this Bears identity is now at the end of the season. 6-7 weeks ago, I said they're a physical football team that runs the football really well to play action, especially if that Eagles win. Down the stretch, I did not think the Bears ran the football well enough consistently.
And they
I
just
think
didn't commit to it enough.
and I think
either.
that's part of it. So I think, and I also think that Caleb, I would have liked to seen him on the move a little bit more in this game. Now, maybe their thought was, listen, with Tooney on the left side having to play tackle, you just stay in the pocket, get the ball out, let's go. The bad footing for the field, so maybe that was the game plan. I can live with that. But I do think when you look at that throw to Cole Kmet, Mahomes and Allen, probably the only other two in the league that can even dream of doing that right now. Rodgers, maybe 10 years ago. Lamar has special plays, but they feel a little different. Lamar's special plays.
Yeah,
than
I don't
Caleb
think
does.
it's like that type of play.
Um,
No, I would agree it's very much
and
Josh
so
Allen, Mahomes, and like Caleb. Those are the three that make that throw.
And so, we'll have plenty of time this offseason to do quarterback rankings and all this stuff. But I will say what is scary for the league and for everyone on notice is this doesn't feel like it really doesn't feel like the Washington Commanders of last year. And if you're stuck on that take, I'll let you die in it next season. It just doesn't feel that way. You have the offensive coach. You have a team that is not one of the oldest teams in the league like Washington. And you have a quarterback that's now played 2 straight years, no injuries. He's physical. That run he made for the big conversion run where he took that shot. Normally, we're used to seeing Caleb be really smart and getting out of bounds and extending. I'm blown away. I'm just blown away by the kid, and I cannot wait to see what he adds to his game this offseason. If it's a little bit more consistent footwork in the pocket with consistent, like kind of being able to pick people apart on quick throws,
Agreed.
it'd be great. Tooney, yeah. And Andy, I will say this. I thought Tooney played well at left tackle yesterday, but I also think the Bears game planned it a lot different than him being in the Super Bowl and that the matchups he had to play in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, it's just a tough position to be in as well. I mean, you've been playing one spot all year long, and to get moved around last minute, that's tough. But a lot to look forward to for next year for sure. Don't want to harp too much on that because we'll have a whole off season to discuss. But definitely the arrow pointing up for Chicago, and they almost beat the Rams in a close 3-point overtime game.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to championship week. AFC Championship game is going to be the first one. Both these games on Sunday, 3:00 Eastern time is this first one. The Patriots at the Denver Broncos. Really interesting matchup on paper. We've seen the Drake May-led Patriots have a little bit more, I guess you would say, less structured play as of late. Over the last month, it's been a lot more kind of you don't know what you're going to get from play to play from Drake May and company, as good as he is. We've also seen the Patriots defense really grow throughout the year, and this last month be better and better each win and each week. And then on the flip side, we've seen the Broncos, who are much more careful, haven't made the backbreaking plays offensively that can ruin a game because their defense is so good. Now we see them with a backup quarterback coming into this game at home. Yeah. I feel like they're going to have to rely on succeeding in the run game, like sustaining long drives, and hoping that their defensive front can just completely force the Patriots to be one-dimensional from the first quarter on, right? Because I don't see with Drake May's capability the Broncos being able to survive that for an entire game if they can't force him to just be a guy who's throwing it 50 times.
Yeah, man. Saturday night, I thought to myself, whoever wins Patriots-Texans, they're going to win by 1 million against the Broncos. When you get that devastation of the Knicks injury news. But the more I think about it, the more I think about how Denver is going to use this as such a rally, right? All week long, everyone's going to pick the Patriots. I think this game is going to be a really close, good game. I really do. Denver's got all the advantages if you're telling me I have the backup quarterback, right? I'm at home. I have the better defense statistically through the year. And we have an offensive coach who, remember, he chose Stidham. Like, he wanted Stidham.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Sean Payton absolutely loves Jarrett
But
Stidham.
Stidham has been in that system now for 3 years. He knows the system. There is no play that he will call that Stidham will be, I don't know this play. What will be really imperative for the Denver Broncos is the specific game plan that they come up for with Stidham. Stidham's also not old. But he's also not just his second year he's not a second-year rookie. He's a 5-year, 6-year rookie, player. Back up most of his career, 8 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions.
In his career in
as a starter.
Starts, yeah.
And so I think I don't expect him to light the world on fire, but I expect this to be a competitive football game because the Broncos are good enough. And I don't think Bo Nix is a top 10 quarterback in the league. Right. So if Stidham can be 80% of Nix, which I think with Sean Payton and that experience and the weapons they have, he can be maybe 80% of Nix. I don't think there's any reason why Denver can't win the game. If you told me you have to pick right now, I'd pick New England because New England has a lot of things going for them as well, right? Drake May is really a special player, having a special year. McDaniel's their offensive coordinator. He also loves Stidham. He coached Stidham. It's like, so he'll be able to kind of maybe this is what he's, maybe sending some nuggets to the defense and to Vrabel. Sure. And then I think what we saw from the Patriots defense is Gonzalez and that secondary. They're ball hungry, ball hawks, and they can get after it. So I like the Patriots. I think it's a really close, kind of low scoring 24-21, 24-23 type of game.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. I agree completely with your point that the Broncos could win this game because if there's a team in this Final Four that's built to withstand having to start their backup quarterback, it's the Broncos over everyone else because not just familiarity with the system, having been there for a while, the way this team is built, like they can run the football and they can play incredible defense, and they're at home. They don't have to worry about travel issues with now a backup quarterback. They can get that extra time. So there's a lot working in their favor from the adversity standpoint that they've had to deal with. But it still is a lot. You've got a guy coming into NFL action cold. He hasn't played an NFL game in more than 700 days. So that's something to play into it too. But they'll be prepared coming into this game, and they'll have a game plan. It's just whether or not New England can take them off of that game plan early enough. I also have New England winning this game. What do you think? I don't know if you've seen the spread, but where do you think it is right now?
Probably New England minus 2.5.
Okay, it's a little bit more. It's minus 5.5, and I think obviously that is the backup quarterback.
I think I would take the Broncos in the points right now.
Yeah, especially being a home game. Yeah, this could very well be a 3-point differential.
Sean Payton's a motivator too. He's a motivator.
Yeah. They'll have an opportunity. They'll have to run the ball, obviously. If Jarrett Sims throwing 45 times, I don't think that is optimal for the Broncos' chances of winning this game, but we'll see. Again, I agree with the Patriots ultimately winning it. I would say 23-20, maybe the final there for New England. And what a story. This would be a great story regardless, because if the Broncos get in, then wow, what a turnaround in just a couple years, and getting it with your backup quarterback, a lot of stuff to hang their hats on there. And if it's the Patriots, my goodness, what a massive turnaround for them too. Just a year ago, not knowing who their head coach was going to be, not knowing if Drake May was quarterback of the future, and a defense with a lot of questions. So big time props. By the way, the Patriots were 8-0 at home or away this year. They have won games on the road.
He prepares his team well.
He does. So that's something to look out there for as well. But 41.5 is the point total. So my 23-20 prediction is even saying take the over there. But I could definitely see this could be a 13-10 game for all we know. All right, the Rams go on the road to Seattle. The third matchup between these two teams. They split the series in the regular season and now match up in Seattle for obviously all the marbles. Seattle favored in this one by 2.5. Close spread there, but Rams, I think them winning on the road in Chicago in those harsh conditions is a great preparer for this team. Not that they necessarily needed it, but they have now played in pretty less than ideal circumstances in the snow. Now, right now, weather's projected to be right around 50 degrees. We're a week away, so that could all change. But 50 degrees in Seattle with sunny skies seems to be a pretty nice landing spot for the Rams. West Coast time that could play in their favor too. But yeah, what are your predictions for Seattle hosting the Rams in a very motivated LA team coming in, but now a Seattle team that doesn't have to worry about the rust from a week off of rest?
Seattle's got an extra day of rest, basically, because the Rams had to play on the night and they have to travel all the way back, and then they got to go to Seattle. I think that plays advantage for Seattle.
Yeah.
I think Seattle's obviously at home. That's an advantage for Seattle. Seattle's the better football team, I think, 1 through 53, and the way they've been playing, that's why they are the 1 seed. I think all of that is advantage Seattle. My gut says take the Rams this morning. And I think my gut is saying that because I do think Stafford looks at this field too, and Stafford and McVay as a coach quarterback combo now is the best coach quarterback combo that we have left by far. It's not close. And I think that's a ginormous advantage. I also think this Rams team showed a lot of fight on defense. I think they're going to show a lot of fight on defense against Seattle. They know each other really, really well. I think it's going to be a close game. If it's a close game, history tells me to trust Stafford and not trust Darnold as much. Darnold's oblique injury, I mean, it will get better. But again, I think that he's going to have to throw the ball more than 17 times, I think, in this game.
For sure.
My gut says Rams win in an all-timer, 30-27, really fun game. I'll take Stafford to throw a couple touchdown passes and get himself back to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's even going to be more than that. I kind of see this game being an absolute just shootout. Everybody just laying it all out there. I think the defenses are going to take some risks, which might bite them because they're going to sell out potentially for the big play, and then that's going to result in a big play the other way. So I'm going to predict like a huge point total here. This could be a wild, but I'm going to say like 35-33. The Rams take it though in the end, and so they cover both the spread and the money line there as well. And ultimately, I have thought for a long time that the Rams are the best team in the NFL, probably since midseason. And so at this point, I've got to stick with that. Plus, they're the only team that I had they're the only team in the Final Four left from my prediction bracket. So I gotta hope that they continue through. I did predict them to win the Super Bowl. So I'm going to stick with that too. But yeah, this is a great matchup. I think we'll see kind of, how Charbonnet is. I haven't, because I know he got a little banged up in this game. Kenneth Walker was a huge piece to this game. Like, are they going to lean into Kenneth Walker again next week, or are they going to use the two? But regardless, both these teams have two great running backs that they can utilize. I'm curious to see how those run games are complemented in this game as well. But yeah, I also think, do we know what Devontae like? Is this Devontae Adams' last ride? I don't know. Also, you got to think in the back of his mind, Stafford's thinking, is this a legacy game for me? Some might say, I think currently just what he's done and been able to do with the Rams specifically these latter 5 years of his career has put him into the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
But many will say that he's still on that bubble. The second Super Bowl puts him into that, guaranteed. It guarantees him a gold jacket, right?
He's got the most pressure remaining. Him and McVay, a second Super Bowl for both of them. Everyone else, it's a first Super Bowl. I mean, except for Sean Payton to be a second, but this gets you into that rarefied era where you can start talking about them amongst the tops of the tops. It's huge.
Yep. 100%. So I do think that there's that extra element in play here for them, and just to get the bad taste of their mouth from the most
Yep.
recent matchup where they lost, and that was an epic,
Yep.
shootout fashion as well. So yeah, this could shape up to be a great one. I think we're probably both looking forward to this matchup versus the Patriots Broncos, but I'm interested to see how Patriots Broncos plays out,
Yep.
because it could be that whoever just makes that one mistake, that's it, that's the game right there. So intrigued to see that in fruition. But yeah, we've got one more week of NFL football before the Super Bowl, so trying to just savor this weekend
Soak it up.
as much as possible
Soak it
coming
up.
up. But definitely looking forward to it. We, of course, will be back here next week with a recap from Championship Weekend, and looking ahead, of course, to Super Bowl 60. A lot to look forward to there, and we've just got a little bit more football talk ahead before we start talking about the coaching carousel and what this offseason looks like. But I will say, Mark, real quick before we end the show and toss it to the next week, the 10 NFL head coach vacancies that have occurred this offseason to this point as well. I mean, I don't think we envision any more opening up at this point. But those 10 vacancies, they're the most since 2022. So you could say, okay, well, that's not that long. But aside from 2022, these 10 vacancies, that still just ties the most with only 3 other times in NFL history.
Yeah, it's a rarity.
So this is kind of unprecedented territory when we talk about 5 instances of all time where 10 or more coach vacancies have occurred. It's a third of the league, Mark, and
I
we're
know.
talking about a a class of head coaching candidates that before coming into this year we didn't really think was a huge great group, but a lot of names have jumped out of nowhere, and some have even come out, talking about it being, dynamite hires. We're talking about the Kubiaks, both in Seattle and San Francisco. We're talking about the Sean McVay tree with 2 of his assistant coaches being up for jobs as well. So I think this will be really intriguing. I hope that, I think we'll have an opportunity to dive more in the week in between the Super Bowl. That'll give us an opportunity to look at this head coaching carousel. We didn't even get to talk about, Stefanski in Atlanta, and Harbaugh with the Giants, but we'll have a lot more opportunity to dive into all of that coming up next week.
Yeah,
So
sounds good.
yeah, just wanted to forecast that as we look ahead. But that'll do it for us here on the Football Lounge with Mark and Dan. Appreciate you all tuning in, and we'll see you here next week.